Welcome to Behind the Canvas, the official after show of Art Wars. I'm your host Corin, or Numskull, and today we'll be taking a look at Art Wars Season 7, Episode 1. In this episode we meet the first half of the cast in a split premiere where we are introduced to the 6 members of Team Royals, which consists of the artists Howard the Fuck, Sunny Swift Art, Glitch Nova, Thoughtless Sketches, Nihoy Art, and Simple Sheep. These artists face the main challenge titled Ruler of the Royals and were tasked to create an illustration based on the theme of royals, obviously. So going with the idea of like crowns and castles and jewels and all that royal stuff as you would expect. I kind of love this challenge for a premiere episode because I think it's a nice way to introduce the artists' art styles as well as their strength in like a season that's so heavily focused on the idea of the royals and the aliens. You know, that whole like team structure which we see in this first challenge. So now that the boring exposition part is done, we can now get onto the fun part and take a look at the incredible art done in the episode. And basically how it works is for each piece of art, I'm going to give my opinion and then like quotation marks toot or boot each of them. Toot basically meaning I like it and boot meaning I do not. I'm also going to give someone top toot each episode, and this is basically is just my favourite piece out of the bunch for that challenge. Also, this is going to happen for every challenge and every piece of art, and by the end of the season we're going to crown the top toot champion, which I'm sure you can imagine you just need to have the most amount of toots to get. That was a lot of explanation, but I hope it makes sense. So first up we've got Howard the Fuck, and like right off the bat I think this is crazy. Like I think this is really good. Like the themings is there, you've got like the royals, like obviously you look like an emperor literally riding a polar bear, like that's so cool. And you know, the detailing is crazy, like on the armor and the clothing and even the background. Like, are you joking me? Like that's crazy. Love the color, love the line art. I think this is really strong for an opening piece. I think you've really set yourself up and it's going to be hard to top this. I think this is great, but yeah, easily I'm going to give this a 2. And next we have Glitch Nova, and I think this one is really sad because like as a former competitor in Art Wars, I know the struggles of the time constraints and it literally cost me some placements on some challenges, but like overall that's just something you have to overcome, because I think the time limit is a part of the challenge and unfortunately you didn't meet that expectation here, so the piece is unfinished. But I do think if you had the time to finish it, it would have looked really cool. I am going to have to give this a boot just because as it is now, it's not up to par with everyone else. Next up we have Sunny Swift Art, and again I think this is a really strong opening piece for season 7, like the theme of royals clearly being shown. I think this is a bit more simpler than the last one because there is no background, but I do think it is very effective and overall a very cool piece, so I'm going to have to give this one a toot. And after that we have Nihoy Art, and this one I think is simple again and maybe even less effective than the last one, I'd say. I think the background is cool, I think the focus is cool, but overall it just doesn't translate. I think the concept doesn't translate as well with the theme of royals. Like I see crowns, but like aside from that I don't see anything else. But I think overall it's a solid drawing. Again, a decent way to open out the season. I'm going to give this a 2. Yeah. Next up we've got Thoughtless Sketches, and I really like this one, and again it's another example of opening strong in the season. Like this is a great piece, I think. Like Sunny Swift Art, I think it is simple, but again it's effective. Like you clearly show like technique, like the proportions are correct. The background is a bit like naff, but I think that's easy fix. I think it still looks really cool, and again the royal theme is there. It's just clear what it is, and I think you've executed it quite well. So overall I think it's a great piece and I'm gonna give it a 2. And last up is Simple Sheep, and again like Glitch, it's really unfortunate that the time constraints got to you because I think this could have been something really cool. Like the theme of royal is there, and I've said this for all of them, like the theme is clear, which I think is very cool that everyone got to do, but because this is unfinished I think it lacks complexity and it's more simple than the others and therefore is weaker. But I think this could be something really cool, but because of the fact it is unfinished, I am going to have to give it a boot, unfortunately. And now I've briefly talked about everyone's art for this challenge and like given my short opinions on them, I now can reveal who I think deserves top 2. And this challenge I gave it to Howard. I truly believe their piece was the best out of like the bunch, and I think it was a great start to the season. They should be very happy with themselves. It's like very cool. I thought it was awesome. So yeah, congrats Howard on winning first top 2 of this season, and hopefully that is many more to come. Cool, so now I've said what I think, we can take a look at the actual results and see what actually went down. And like the results are already in, so we find out that unsurprisingly, the winner of the first episode of season 7 is Howard, as they should be. And then like we find out like the artists that placed high this episode were Nihoy and Sunny. They both did great jobs this challenge. Although I would have put Thoughtless Sketches over Nihoy in the highest placement just because I think I preferred their piece this challenge. But overall everyone did really well. But then we are left with Simple Sheep and Glitch Nova, who were in the bottom, mostly due to time issues, and which is why I agree with the bottom 2, because in all fairness they did not meet their expectations this week. But before the elimination we find out the twist, because like James loves twists. So basically instead of a challenge for the bottom 2 artists to do, they are instead at risk of being voted off by none other than the winner of the challenge, who we know at this point is Howard. And like I can't lie, this is very interesting because it's hard to tell so early on like who would be better to send home, as we don't even know yet who is a better competitor, as it's literally the first challenge. So I imagine that will be a very hard decision for Howard to make, but oh well, we still will see one of the artists being eliminated. I kind of love it as well. I think it's a bit cunty, like come on, like that is so fun. So the votes are in. We'll vote singular because it's just Howard. And I can reveal that the artist getting eliminated is Simple Sheep, unfortunately making them the first eliminated contestant on the Art Wars season 7. I mean, it's like always sad to see like a fellow competitor go home, but like at the end of the day the artists are competing to win, so that's just the name of the game. But overall I think this was such a strong showing for only episode 1, and like a great start to the season, and it's also a nice way to wrap up this episode. So yeah, make sure to tune in next episode of Art Wars season 7 Behind the Canvas. I've been your host Numskull, and thanks for viewing. Goodbye now.